السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-An'am, هذا كتاب أنزلناه مباركا فاتبعوه واتقوا لعلكم ترحمون. This is a blessed book we have revealed, so follow it and be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you may be shown mercy. To receive the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to follow the book, the Quran, the Sharia. We need to follow the do's and don'ts. And most often, people think the Quran is a book of only don'ts, but that is not the case. And even if a part of the Quran is don'ts, let us see what are the don'ts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 151, قُلْ تَعَالَوْا أُتْلُ مَا حَرَّمَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَيْكُمْ. Say, O Prophet, come, let me recite to you what your Lord has forbidden to you. أَلَّا تُشْرِكْ بِهِ شَيْئًا, that you do not associate others in worship. Do not take partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in worship. All acts of worship should be attributed to Allah alone. It should not be done for anybody else's sake. Any a good deed to be accepted, it should be done for Allah's sake alone. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, following that, has spoken about a great relationship, those who were sabab for us to come into the world. And about them Allah said, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and to your parents show ihsan. Ihsan is honoring the parents, is doing more than they have done, and being good to them, being kind to them, being dutiful to them, and honoring them. After the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we should not associate partners, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. So this alone shows, after the right of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, among the people's rights, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored the rights of the parents for every human being, every believer. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors the life of Muslims, and especially the children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُم مِّنْ إِمْلَاقٍ, and do not kill your children for the fear of poverty. The right for living. Subhanallah, one of the things that Islam came to give the life for the girl child and the life for the unborn soul. So killing newborn, unborn, or even children is not is a grave sin in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a thing that the Muslim does. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about having tawakkul. Tawakkul when you honor your parents, and tawakkul when you raise your children, because Allah said, نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. It is we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who provide you, and it is we who provide for them. So never ever think the children are going to be a part of your provision. They will have their provision. Everyone has their own provision. Nobody can take away your provision, and you cannot take away anybody's provision. And this is the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah provides. نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. We provide for you and for them also. Only Allah provides. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الْفَوَاحِشِ, and do not get closer to indecency, shameful acts. مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ, whether it is open indecency or secret indecency. Subhanallah. Indecent acts used to be difficult before, but with the devices in our hands, indecency, as Allah mentions, wama batan, secretly has become so easy and accessible. And therefore, it a believer has to be mindful of that Allah is watching him, and Allah will question about what he or she sees. Therefore, we sisters, we should make sure that we lower our gaze, and we do not watch that which is forbidden to watch, and we protect our eyes and our thoughts, because subhanallah, protecting our thoughts is so important. Because the thoughts become the character, and the character becomes a habit, and the habit becomes a personality. So, to protect ourselves from all acts of indecency, and indecency is penetrated to an higher extent to most of the things. So, whether it's exercise or any common things which people are prone to see, indecency has increased. May Allah protect us, and haya is a part of iman. May Allah have this may Allah enlighten the iman in our souls, and give us the covering of haya in our thinking and our seeing, in our actions, and haya in every aspect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to say, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. The sacredness of the human life, which is a part of the maqasid al-sharia, is to protect life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden murder or genocide or killing in any form. And وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ, except for what is legal. All other murders and killings a person does by himself are all forbidden, and there is a major sin. And one of the major questioning on the day of judgment in the beginning is will be about qatl. ذَلِكَ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. This is what Allah has commanding you, wishing for you. Wasiya, Allah is making this لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, so that you may understand. Allah goes on to say in 152 ayah, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ, and do not go closer to the wealth of the yatim. When the parents are rich and they leave wealth, and the inheritor is a young child who is fatherless, and that time it is so easy for others to uh, take up that wealth and cheat the young child. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who protect the women and the orphans and the weak, the one who is the wali of those who don't have anyone in the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden for every strong powerful man and strong communities and people and governments, and for everyone, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ, do not even come close to the wealth of an orphan. And then he gave an exception, إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, unless you're intending to make it better. Because there are people who have good hearts, who want to make the wealth of the orphan grow or protect it, or in any way be useful in that. Hatta yablugha ashuddah, and that can be done only until the orphan child reaches maturity. When he or she reaches maturity, then the wealth goes to them, and the caretaker of the orphan who has been caretaking of the wealth does not own the wealth and cannot have it after the child has reached maturity. Subhanallah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the consumer rights. Allah says, وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ. And in your weights and measures give full, and that which is with justice. So whatever specs you promote, you advertise, give that. Subhanallah. People today have very good, beautiful pictures, and when the products are different. Subhanallah. وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانِ both comes in weights and measures, not only in weights and measures as in solids and liquids, but also in products which have specifications, and so it should also match what you are promoting and advertising. And this is also a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها, and Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a common thing for every one of us. Subhanallah. وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ, and when you speak, فَعَدِلُوا, then speak with justice. وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى, even if the matter is regarding a close relative. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said to maintain justice. And subhanAllah, وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ, having said وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ, when you speak at home, among people, in the office, in the workplace, in the school, wherever it is, maintain justice. Subhanallah. How beautiful is this world be when people do not have those show partiality, have a favorite child or favorite student or favorite employee. Subhanallah, when everybody is treated with justice, how beautiful and how growth oriented the world will be and this community will be. We ask Allah to make us of those who enjoy injustice and maintain justice. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. وَبِأَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا, and the covenants with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also fulfill. Because the covenants are of, and the rights are of twofold. One is the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other is the rights of the huququllah wa huquq al-ibad, rights of the people. So fulfilling the rights of the people, we should not forget the fulfilling the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبِأَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا, and the fulfill your covenant with Allah. What are the covenants? Among the covenants is that we worship إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. We say every rak'ah, every surah Fatiha, that we worship you only, we seek help from you only. So seek help, worship Allah alone, seek help from Him alone. Fulfill the obligations, both in the rights of Allah, and as in Salah, Zakah, Sawm, Hajj, all of that. And if you make an oath in the name of Allah, fulfill it. Subhanallah. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ, and that is what Allah has commanding you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ, so that you may be mindful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this a beautiful set of laws for us, and He said, وَإِنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ, indeed this is my path perfectly straight, so follow it. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا سُبُلًا, and do not follow other ways. فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ, if you follow other ways, then you will slip away from this path. It may lead you to some other path which is not this. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so this is what Allah is commanding you, so that you may attain taqwa, consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وبارك الله فيكم. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.